there's something I want to talk to my photography community about, and I don't think that people are being real anymore. Everyone's hiding behind aesthetics and perception and just fraudulent behavior. People are really struggling as photographers. They're not making as much as they used to. They are in need of a lot of help. And when I see photographers from different genres posting about GoFundMes, I know it's a real problem. Now, this video isn't to cast judgment, isn't to shame anyone, isn't to blame anyone. It's just I see a problem and I know what the solution is, at least one of the solutions. Many years ago, I graduated college. I didn't have any student loans per se, but I had a personal loan I used for, I think, one of my last semesters. I had about $19,000 in debt, from a car to credit cards, personal loans, and so forth. I didn't do, and I knew better for one, because my mom told me when we went to college the first time, don't get a credit card unless you can pay for it. And I didn't get one until after I graduated. But I made a lot of bad financial decisions. I went through the process of getting it all taken care of. And then years later, I still made the mistake, multiple times. And I realized that until I can control certain behaviors, I'll always end up in a bad financial situation. Now, again, so I can't judge anyone for anything when it comes to money, because I know what it's like to make bad decisions. This is probably one of the realest things I'll ever say to my audience. It is hard out there. I get it. My first wedding of the year for my company was 2 weeks ago. I will say that I was fortunate enough to have a lot of commercial and corporate work that kept me very good for most of the year so far. That's not everyone's story. Most people, when they're in their genres, they stay in it. They don't deviate for whatever reason. But I can see that many wedding photographers and portrait photographers, they need money. They have emergencies that are taking place and they're out asking for help. I also believe that no matter how much you plan, there might be a time where you'll need help. I always say that we're one medical emergency away from bankruptcy. One serious medical emergency can wipe out an entire life savings. Which is why I'm not going to judge anyone for where they're at right now financially. Because no matter how hard you plan, no matter the insurance you have, you never know when they'll deny you. And I want to come with a solution to the problem, at least one solution. I have about 7 things that I want to talk about. And just for the record, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not an accountant. I didn't study finance. I didn't study accounting. I study nothing of the sort. I have a degree in civil design and I have a bachelor's degree in architecture. Those are things that I do very well and those I know very well. I don't practice anymore, but that's my professional background outside of photography. So everything I say, I want you to take it with a grain of salt. Money, we know that money's funny. People lose their jobs. This season is a lot slower than it should be. And they have children and they have the bills that never stop. The first thing I want you guys to do, and people hate the B word, but you're going to have to start to create a budget. You have to know where your money is going. You might say, yes, going to bills. Yes. But there's a way to systematize paying those bills. Well, I don't have any money. I understand. I've been there before. I know it's like no money's coming in. Still have to survive. Bills don't stop. But in order for you to know where you're going, you have to know where you're currently at right now. I want you guys to sit down If you say, hey, there's a budget called a zero-based budget. I use it to get out of debt. I've given it to people. So many years ago, before I started my wedding world, I used to help people with their personal finance. I love numbers. I love money. I love what money can do when you need it. So I have a spreadsheet I built many years ago. If you want me to, I can send it to you. If you want me to, just send me a DM on Instagram, and I will send it to you. You can modify it. Instructions already there. Or if you say, hey, I want to sit down and have you do it for me, that's also fine. That's not a big deal for me. It doesn't cost you anything. I just want to be able to help out those that are struggling. You have to control your money, know where every dollar is going. Every dollar should have a name. No wild and free money running around anywhere, out of your pocket, out of your bank account. No. Every dollar that goes out should have a name on it. That's the first thing I want you guys to think about. The second thing, I want you to start an emergency fund, just a small emergency fund. You can, whatever number you think it's appropriate for you based on where you're currently at. I think the ideal number is like $1,000. That's what I was taught to do many years ago. You could say that's not enough emergency fund for me, even a small one, just based on the lifestyle I may live. You might say it's $2,000. You could even say $500 is a good start. You might even ask, where am I getting this $500 from? The money is usually there. And if you have credit card debt, the money's there. But again, there's no judgment here. I just want to be able to help. Again, this content is different than what I normally would be posting. But so I saw something this morning on Instagram that really triggered this thought. And I'm like, you know what? When I saw that GoFundMe, I was like, yeah, they need some help. When you get the emergency fund, it's just a small emergency fund. Because what happened at times is that, let's say you get a dead battery for your car, or you have a tire blowout. People's first inclination is to, let me use my credit card. You pay that 32% or that 25%, and they don't pay it off in full, and that money is just given to the credit card company. But if you had a small emergency fund of, let's say, $500, when that tire go out, you could easily replace that tire without having to worry about, oh my gosh, I paid this interest rate on this tire. I know what it's like. I've been there. I know it's like to be depressed and stressed out about money as it relates to credit cards. I was there many years ago. So I get it. I understand. That's the second thing. So start a small emergency fund. You give me your regular savings account, and I want you to identify what counts as an emergency. It's not for you to go, oh, there's a sale on Amazon, there's a sale at wherever. That is not an emergency. But only you get to determine what an emergency fund is. Does that make sense? The next thing, when you do the budget, you're going to identify all your credit cards. I want you to list them you're going to start paying off the ones from the highest interest rate down to the lowest interest rates. You're going to pay the minimum on all across the board, and the one with the highest interest rate, you're going to pay that off first. Now, one could argue that, hey, you can start with the smallest amount first, so you can build momentum. That's called the debt snowball. Dave Ramsey teaches that. I did that as well. And he always said, that's the best way to kind of build momentum, because it makes you feel like you're doing something good. But 1 on 1 always equals 2. I get the reason why he did it. He said if they're good at math to begin with, they wouldn't be the debt that they're in right now. That's true, but sometimes people are desperate and they need to do things a little differently. That's why I want you to list your credit cards, personal loans, whatever it is, and you're going to attack the one that has the highest interest rate first and pay the minimum across the board for everybody else. And once you finish attacking and paying off that one, go to the next one. And those payments you're paying before, apply it to the next credit card. You're going to slowly attack it. That's the third thing. So when you pay off those credit cards, you'll have more money now, because now you might ask, well, I can't save any money. Well, now you can. There's nothing like being credit card free. If all fails, you realize I can't do anything like that. I can't do it. Look into bankruptcy, but understand the consequences for doing that. Understand what it will cost you on the front end and the back end. But it allows you to get a clean start. I want you to think about that. But let that be your last alternative. Because again, if you don't change your behavior, bankruptcy is just a band-aid. Yes, it wipes it clean, but if you don't change the behavior, you're going to end up there again. Does that make sense? So now we got the credit cards for cancels. We have money to play with. And now you're going to also cancel subscriptions. Sometime last year I was reading a book, and there's a Japanese term, hakema, don't remember the term, and it was about finding money that's there that you can't see. And I combed through I did my, what do you call it? I did my forensic accounting for my accounts, and I was like, wait, I think I found either $400 to $500 I was spending out every year. I had no idea. That was on one subscription. One. There's software out there. You'd have to find the software themselves for yourself. That you can find the software or the apps, that can tell you what subscription that you're currently paying for. So identify them and cancel them because you need money. All those things you're paying for monthly, all your Adobe subscriptions, maybe it's time to put things on pause. Find an alternative. But understand subscriptions has a way of milking you without even knowing it. That makes sense? Good. So now you got that out of the way, you cancel subscriptions, you have more money to play with. You're going to really now build the emergency fund. We started with a smaller one. Now maybe build 6 months worth of emergencies or 6 months worth of bills. What happens if you can no longer work for 6 months or maybe 2 months? Will you go back to credit cards? No, that's not the goal. The goal is to have money that's there that you can use in case of emergencies. You following me? And I'm not telling you this as something I've heard about. I've done this. I've done it. When I was laid off in 2011, I had enough money saved. If I didn't want to work for a couple of years, I didn't have to, which is why I decided not to go back to work. I was like, when I was laid off, I said, I'm going to figure this out. I'm going to figure it out. And I had that luxury of doing that because I was prepared financially. I didn't have to stress about it. The coworkers who got laid off, they were stressing because most didn't have anything saved. We have this thing in this country where, United States, you make money, spend money, make it, spend it, make spend, buying all these different things that you don't need. I've never been that person. While I've wasted money and spent poorly at times, I understand the value of a dollar. But saving is very important. That's important. My notes here, let's see here. Yeah, and when you open up the emergency fund, because you have the smaller one at first, you're now going to open up one that's in a high yield savings account. You can go online and find the one that has nice interest rates. The going rate right now is like maybe 3 to 4%. I think it was like back in the day when I had mine, it was like 6 to 7%. I think the average is like 3 to 4 right now. But you're going to have a high yield savings account. And they have it online because you want access to it, but you don't want access to it immediately. And sometimes that can catch you off guard. But you have it in a way it's online. That you kind of become more disciplined that way. You think twice before, is this really emergency? Or am I just being impulsive? And that's why I love an online high yield savings account. We're gonna work on that. So you have no longer have to worry about credit card payments and so forth, no personal loans. They've already been paid off. You now have money to save. You're gonna start saving aggressively. That's the fifth thing you're going to do. Sixth thing is you have to think about you can't work forever. And I'm mainly talking to those people who are doing this on a full-time basis. I'm in the event world, so I'm mainly talking to event professionals, photographers, wedding planners, whoever has to work for themselves. You have to retire. And you don't want to eat dog food during retirement or cat food, bird food. You want to be able to have something that's there. So I want you to look into one, a Roth IRA and an IRA. Talk to someone who's experienced in both. Understand the difference. Understand what tax deferred means. Understand what all that means. But you want to talk to somebody about that. But you need to really plan and save for your future. And while you're doing that as well, when you're saving more, try to save 10% of everything that you make. The principle is you want to save 10%, invest 15%. If you can do that, because I heard a joke that said, you can't save your way into wealth. It's not possible. You have to invest it. So I want you to open up a retirement account. You have companies like Vanguard, Fidelity, Charles Schwab, all these different companies out there you can talk to. Talk to somebody. Understand the fee structure. One might be more expensive than the other. Again, talk to a professional. The seventh thing, I want you to open up a brokerage account. You can have E-Trade. You have, I would never mention the other word that people are familiar with, but I use E-Trade and Charles Schwab. Don't go chasing stocks. Don't, because something's hot right now, you don't want to do that. Don't go chasing crypto. That's not something you want to do. That's not that bright. Find companies that are stable and consistent. Has a long track record. Look at ETFs. Look at index funds. I know these things are probably over your head right now, but again, that's what, talk to professionals. I'm not saying to hire a broker. There's a joke from Robert Kiyosaki on his board game. They're called brokers because they're broker than you are. I always thought that was funny. But these are things you can learn to do. Just basic investing. There are a lot of online videos about basic investing. Look at them. Make time to learn something different. And I promise you, once you start doing these things, your future looks a lot brighter. Because when you have money in the bank, you can sleep a little better at night. When that tire blows out, battery dies. Hell, I remember one year we had our water heater caught fire in the garage. I made a post about it, and one photographer, he's like, hey, he needs to send you some money. I'm like, send me some money? I appreciate the gesture, but I'm too old to be asking for money for a water heater. A water heater? Now, I'm not saying I'm better than anybody else. That is not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is I just know that emergency funds exist for a reason. And your emergency could be, hell, just, your phone needs to be turned back on. Your lights need to be turned on. That's important. High bills are taking over people's lives, and when you're not prepared for it, it makes it harder. That's why I just want to leave you with this message. I want to be encouraging to you guys because I can see the struggle that people are dealing with. And when they keep asking for GoFundMes, it just tells me that people aren't as prepared as they paint themselves to be. I know online things will look perfect. My life is not perfect by any means. Trust me, it is far from it. You guys only see what I allow you to see because I'm very private. But I'm not that individual who everything's always great. No, I struggle like the average person struggles. But I also have a plan. One thing I learned from architecture days is that you have to plan something out. You can't build a house. You got to design it. And far too often, we don't design our lives the way that we should. I want to leave you with encouraging words. You got it. Again, if you need help, you want me to help you with a zero-based budget. Let me tell you, the zero-based budget, if you use it, it feels like you got a raise. And it even helps if you have like a consistent paycheck coming in. So even if you do this wedding world or portrait world, but have a day job, trust me, with a day job check, zero-based budget make you feel like you got a raise. So thank you guys, and don't forget to share this, subscribe, like it, comment, let me know your thoughts. Thanks again. Teshorn Jackson here. I'm out.